Geek BAH Brent here with another One Piece vlog. This time we'll be discussing the Arlong Park arc, the first big arc in the series. Now, One Piece is divided into different kinds of arcs. There's ones I refer to as the small arcs and the big arcs. It's just as simple as that. Small arcs are usually ones that, they do further the story, and they have a good villain, they have good story, they have good everything, but they're not really big. When you get to those big arcs, you can tell they are big, they are important, they really give something. And the Arlong Park arc is one of those. This continues off of the end of the Baratie arc when Nami stole the ship. Well, she goes back to her home village, and we find out that she's working with the pirate crew of Arlong. Arlong is a fishman pirate. Some dubs actually incorrectly dub it as merman. He's not a merman, and that's actually explained a little more, that in the future, that mermen and fishmen are two completely different races. But, anyways, the point, she's working with Arlong and his crew, and you don't really know why she would be working with a villain. And it's obvious that Arlong's going to be a villain. Well, Luffy's crew follows her there, and the arc basically gets into a lot of different things in this one. And you deal with the fact that a friend of theirs, is pretty much abandoning them and showing her true colors as a villain. And that's a really big point for any series to do something like that. But then you don't only have that kind of thing. You have a big problem in this arc where you find out that she's not really one of the villains, and that she's only working with them to basically save her village and save her people who are being enslaved by the fishman pirates. So it really gives something else to this series with this arc. It deals with a lot of tough issues, and, that's really powerful for an anime to do. It deals with such issues as racism, with the fishman pirates and then humans. The fishmen are very racist against humans, and they're basically saying stuff like they're superior beyond reason. It's sort of like a Nazi type of thing, if you look at it that way. They're basically calling themselves the superior race and that anyone else is below them. That's sort of how the Nazis thought. But at the same time, it's really, you gotta think about it this way. Arlong really cares about his people. When he sees the other fishmen get hurt and get beaten, it really angers him. And so you have to give him that, even though he is kind of a racist, bigoted idiot. Now, you also see things that will make you believe that the fishmen are stronger, too. Especially when they're in water, or doing anything that involves water. The arc deals with a lot of things, like I said. And in the end, you see this one scene where Nami is stabbing her arm repeatedly to try and basically destroy the tattoo she has of the Arlong Pirates mark. And then Luffy comes up and stops her, and she's crying hysterically and basically says, help me. And then Luffy puts his hat on her, which is something he would never do. His hat is his treasure. He puts his hat on her, he gives it to her, he entrusts it to her. And then he walks off just a little bit, raises his arms into the air, and yells out, hell yes, or damn right. I don't remember the exact words. But you get the point. It's like, he doesn't know what's going on, but he is going to fight for her. Because she's his Nakama, she's his friend. And he will do anything to fight for her. So then you see these great battles happen throughout the arc. You see Usopp actually have a good battle with the fishman Chu, even though it consists mostly of Usopp running from him and then playing dead. But he actually does get the upper hand, and it's really great when he does. You see Zoro fight with Hachi the octopus, as well as... Oh, no. he doesn't fight with Karubi. Karubi, who I think is a manta ray fishman or something like that, he fights with Sanji. And at first, he's actually dominating, but Sanji ends up using a trick to blow air into his gills while they're underwater to basically incapacitate him, and he ends up winning. And of course, you see Luffy take on Arlong, and it's a great fight. It's really well done. And there's another big scene in this part where they're fighting, and they like get into Arlong Park's building, and they're in the map room, where Nami was basically enslaved and forced to draw maps. Luffy sees stuff, he sees like blood stains from probably where she was forced to do all this, and it really angers him to a point where he starts breaking everything, kicking desks and furniture out the hole in the wall where they came in. And you see Nami, she's just losing it. She's crying and thanking Luffy because of it, and it's just a really great arc because of that. It has a lot of emotion. There's another part of the arc where it shows Nami's backstory as a kid and how her adopted mother, Belmare, was shot and killed to save them from Arlong when he first arrived. And it's really emotional. It really gets to you. So yeah, this arc is a very good one, and it is a big one. There's a lot to it, and it goes from basically Nami abandoning and betraying Luffy and the crew to basically her depending on them, and their bonds strengthen because of it all. She goes from basically saying that she's only in their crew to serve their purposes of traveling together, and she goes to actually being a true member of the Mugiwara crew, which is a great thing. It works out so well, and it's done well. There's also, the Arlong Park arc does include Johnny and Yosaku, who first appeared in the Baratie arc, but honestly, they're just as minor. They're not really a big deal. And after this, it really gets interesting, because after this, they're on their way to the Grand Line. This is a really big turning point for the show, because it really brings a lot in, and this is the first arc where you don't get a new crew member. Because Nami's technically already there, but I guess you could count she actually truly joins the crew in this arc. But yeah, at this point, you're basically going on who we've already got, and this is where the story truly begins. So, I'm going to leave it off at there. It's a great arc, and honestly, one of my all-time favorites. And definitely my favorite at this point. I'm the Geek Big AH, signing off until the Logtown arc next time. See you then.